Welcome. This is Aleister Nacht. As a satanic magus, and especially as a satanic minister, I often receive questions concerning the undoing of other belief systems for someone that is new to Satanism and devil worship. One of the central topics that I have questions about is baptism and undoing baptism, especially from a Christian point of view. The concern is usually about how to undo the baptism, especially when the person was baptized when they were just a baby. So, in answering those things, I often find that it is beneficial to use the Socratic method and bring the person to their own realization. First of all is simply a question of, did you submit to baptism? And if a child or a baby, certainly below the age of consent, the answer is usually no. And this is an important point, because in any belief system, it is usually the practitioner that decides when they are ready for certain events to take place. But we find that in the Christian religion, baptism is something that is forced upon the practitioner many times well before the age of consent. So, in this capacity, I ask, do they feel this is something that they wanted? And obviously the answer to that question is no. My next question is usually, what does baptism mean to you? Not your parents, not the church, but what does it mean to you? And very often the answer to that question is, it means absolutely nothing. To their point, Satan often means an undoing to certain things in established religion. One thing that represents this is obviously the Black Mass, which is just simply the reverse of the Catholic Mass, and that's the way that it came into being. And I've talked about that in other episodes. However, the important part is, what does it mean to the individual? What does having something done to them mean to the individual? Do they feel that this is something that is going to be a detriment to them as they move forward on the left-hand path? My official answer is no. This would not affect that person, that individual at all, just as signing someone up for something when they were a baby and volunteering them to do this event would not be of detriment to them when they grow older. Baptism is the same way. It affects no one except those who want to be affected by it. There's no reason to think that you have to undo this event to be with Satan and to be one of his servants. There's no reason why you have to go through something that is dogma in itself to undo dogma. So you can rest assured that if you were baptized as a child, there is no reason for you to undo that event, to be a Satanist or a devil worshiper. If you feel it is important that you undo that particular thing, and that's something that you really feel conviction to undo, then there are certain mechanisms that you can use to do so. But it is certainly not a requirement. It's not a requirement for Magnum Opus. It's not a requirement in our belief system. And more importantly, it is not a requirement for Satanists. Many of the things that you are exposed to in established religion have no adverse effects upon anyone except the individual if they allow it to be. In other words, baptizing a baby means nothing to the baby. It is done as a symbolic act for the parents, the grandparents, the godmother, the godfather. Again, dogma. Many people cannot remember their baptism, especially in the Catholic belief system, because they were truly a baby. They have no remembrance of that event at all. In some of the other Christian beliefs, such as Baptists, the child may remember the event because there are other events tied to the baptism. But you have to also keep in mind that many of those things are nothing more than peer pressure put on the child to accept this being, to devote themselves, to be, quote, saved, end quote, meaning nothing to the child except they want to conform to please the parents, the grandparents, etc. It really means nothing to them. It is simply dogma. And to that effect, there is absolutely no reason to have to undo that to move forward in the satanic arts. Again, if you feel that you absolutely must do this to feel whole or to feel closer or connected to Satanas, then you're absolutely free to do so. But do not feel obligated. There is no reason to feel that these events must be undone in order to have a relationship with Satan. It has become such a dogma that many occultists have actually adopted this belief that you have to undo what has been done. We do not believe that in Magnum Opus, and we do not put undue influence on people to feel that they must yet again perform dogma to undo dogma. It's simply not true, not in our belief. So you, the listener, you can rid yourself of those vassal chains. You can rid yourself of being tied to this dogma. You can put what's in the past in the past. And there is no reason for you to have to suffer any type of separation or a feeling of not fitting into a group because you have not undone one of these events. Rest assured, you are an individual, and what you feel is right is usually what's right for you. Don't allow others to do that for you. And don't worry, if you have been baptized, there is no reason for you to undo that event. Satan is willing to accept you the way you are. You've already been accepted because you are human. And he knows that certain things were put on you, and you were subjected to certain events that were nothing more than your family, your church, and other people applying peer pressure in order to have you do that. I hope this has been beneficial. So until next time, this has been Aleister Nacht. Hail Satan.